Welcome once again, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our weekly United for Ukraine get-together. And I hope you're all safe and well, wherever you are.
Hello, Amy.
Hello. Tabelo. Hello, good to see you.
Long time.
Yes. It's really good to see such a strong president.
I hope to see you again in our meeting. Track that we are going to host Dr. April. I think you know him.
Yeah. All right, that sounds good. All right, so I want to say welcome. I want to say welcome to the regulars. You know yourselves, you're always here. So big thank you to the regulars. I want to say welcome back to some people who used to come very often and maybe they dropped a little bit, but now we see them here again. So welcome back. We've missed you. Thank you for coming back. And then for those who are first timers, welcome. As all of us know, because everybody is here, because we are united for Ukraine, this war, this Russia's invasion of Ukraine is approaching 100 days. Or has it reached 100 days yet? I think it's approaching still.
Yeah, approaching.
And all the experts are telling us that we have to be ready for the long haul. This is not going to be over overnight, sadly. So it's very important that we are ready for the long haul. And one of the ways that we stay stronger, that we stay united, is this weekly gathering. So thank you so much. We will officially kick things off with the Ukrainian national anthem. I always stand, and I invite you to join me if you'd like to stand as well. After that, we start with the program. So thank you. All right. Thank you. We are officially live, and I will just repeat the agenda so we know the flow. We kick off with an open floor, and if everybody's concise, we can take quite a few hands, typically around 5. So you just put your hand up. We start with the open floor. You get a chance to share anything on your mind, whether it's a question, an idea, a thought, a feeling. It's fine. It's an open floor. Of course, it has to be on the topic, United for Ukraine, right? Okay, I know you know that. I was just making sure. All right, so we start with the open floor. Then we transition and we give the floor to our Ukrainian family. They usually prepare some thoughts for us. So they make a presentation. Once they are done, we go back to the open floor. And here we can ask them questions, or we can ask each other questions, or we can just share feelings. That's it. And then we've gotten our weekly boost, and we're united for Ukraine, and we go back out there. So the floor is open now. Before I call my first hand, I want to share a couple of thoughts of my own. So I've said that we have to be prepared for the long haul. That's not my view. That's what the experts are all saying. And so anything we can do to be stronger is quite important. But we mustn't lose sight of the fact that every day that this war is going on, innocent people are being killed. However angry you are, whichever side you're on, innocent people being killed is not okay. So we need to find a way to push for peace. And, you know, my preferred solution is that we act like family. We treat the Russians like family, we treat the Ukrainians like family. And if two members of your family are fighting, do you stand on the side and tell the younger one, hey, fight harder. You're a real democracy hero. Myrna knows we don't do that. Abdul Basit, you know we don't do that. If two members of your family are fighting, you get in the middle and you say stop. Even if one of them is bigger and says, if you come here, there'll be war. If this is your family, you don't care. You will step in the middle. And so because of the fact that every single day people are dying, I'm praying and I'm posting for the world to find the courage to enforce the peace. Close the airspace. Make sure there is no fighting. Enforce the peace. That's not a declaration of war. If somebody thinks it is, that's their problem. But if we really are family, as we claim to be, then let us act like family. Now, if we can't find the courage to enforce the peace, then absolutely arm Ukraine. But that's the second best option because people are still dying. For me, the first best option is to enforce the peace. Stop the fighting. All right? That's my thoughts at the beginning. I want to open the floor. I'm so happy to see your hands. So if we're concise, more people get a chance to speak, and then we transition. So Zaliha, I'm giving you the mic, even though you are not showing me video. There's so many wonderful people with their hands up and video. We have a bias for those people. But Zaliha, your hand came up first. So let's start with you. You got the mic. What do you want to share?
Okay. Thank you, Yemi. I really appreciate that. It's not convenient for me to on my video right now. So I'm sorry for that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I would like to welcome everyone here. It's always nice and amazing being here supporting our Ukraine brothers and sisters. I always feel good. Like I used to say, if you are human, if you're really a human, you always feel good when you have support for someone. Yeah, saying sorry alone can do something to someone. Yeah. So at our tribe level, we organize a tribe meeting to support our Ukraine brothers and sisters on the UPG candidates. So, but we want to make it big. So I would like to tell Danka to please respond to my messages. I message her on Facebook and on the forum. So please let her respond.
All right, Zaliha. Interesting. So let's send you love. Thank you for your comments. Danka, you don't have to respond here, but welcome to my club. You see why sometimes I'm afraid to come to events? Because somebody would take the mic and say, Yemi, I sent you an email. I sent you a Facebook Messenger. So Danka, welcome to my club. Don't worry, you don't have to respond right now. But Zalia, you and your tribe, thank you for the actions you're taking.
Yeah, I was actually chatting with her, but at some point she stopped responding. So please, I want her to go back and respond to some of the messages.
She's not getting the point. Our Layli, you see, she's honing in again on the point. Zaliha, please. I'm sure she will come to your message, but please don't call her out. Our country is being invaded, right?
Yeah, I understand.
She will get to you. It's okay. All right, sending you love. Thank you and your tribe for the actions you're taking, and thank you for bringing love to the space. That's what this open floor is for. Share what's on your mind. Aisha, and you've got your video on. You got the mic.
Hi, everyone. It's been a while. So something that I've learned from this whole issue with Ukraine is that sometimes I feel like it's not really something that the people started. It's, yes, politicians are people too, but I feel like on the grand scale of things, they're the ones who are doing something, and then the people end up getting the brunt of the flames. And then the people also are the ones who are outraged by that. So I was wondering, how do we fix that? Do we continue to pressurize them, or do we ourselves enter politics as youth? Because I know, especially now, a lot of us don't want to do it because it feels like it's a dirty game and we might be consumed by the system. But it's a question I've been having on my mind. How do we enter the system? And even if we do enter the system, how do we not allow ourselves to turn into what they have turned into? And yeah, the Ukrainian war and all the other wars around the world have really impacted me a lot, because I'm also fighting a war of my own within my mind. And I feel like the best way for us to stop the war is within ourselves first. So thank you so much.
Love it. Thank you so much. Let's send Aisha some love. Thank you. We've heard your question, okay? But I'm not going to answer it. This is an open floor. But maybe when we get to the second round of the open floor, we can discuss. But thank you for sharing. Mihaki, you got the microphone. You're feeling better?
Yes, you should see that on my face, yeah?
Yay! Can we send her some love? Last time she
bed.
was sick, and she came to the event from her sick bed. She joined. She couldn't show video, right? I mean, you could hear from her voice that she was sick, but she was here. So we're so happy to see you, see that you're doing better. You've got the floor.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. Hi, nice to meet you. Before I forget, I want to tell Aisha, yes, we need to get to those spaces. Personally, I was thinking politics is such a dirty game, but I'm not dirty. So I'm thinking of getting into politics, and I want to be the first female Kenyan president, God willing.
Yeah.
My point now, guys, when I was sick, I got a huge point. You know, when you're sick, you really want so bad to be okay. You can't get out of bed. And when I got better, which was like just maybe 3 days ago, I'm telling you, the freedom I felt was nothing compared to being sick. And I thought that was the time for me to reflect, because that is what Ukraine is going through right now. They are sick, the country is in war, but I know victory awaits, and the freedom that will come with the beauty of freedom, there'll be a lot of happiness. So my Ukrainian brothers and sisters, keep going. I love what the Ukrainian First Lady, Olena, said at ABC News. She said, she was telling the US, please don't get used to our pain. As time goes by, you get used to people's pain. You might stop attending events, you might stop being there for the brothers, but do not get used to the Ukrainian pain. Personally, I think I was coming from the other UPG session, and I had my previous background, but I came and saw. And then I was like, no, I need to just stand with Ukraine, because that feels makes me feel like some type of beautiful way. So guys, if you're here, keep coming, never stop coming if you can, because this is a virtual support. So thank you, and Ukraine, victory awaits. That's what I always say. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much, Mihaki. This is exactly what Open Floor is for. So let's keep it going. I believe Olaili is next. You got the microphone.
Thank you, Yemi. Hello, everyone. Hello, my Ukrainian sisters. Not sure if the Ukrainian brothers are here. First and foremost, Slava Ukraini. Here I am, Slava. I learned the second part. As always, I'm here to support everything that you've been doing, and I believe with the victory for Ukraine. Just a little update, though. As I mentioned last week, that my country is doing this one-on-one conversation with the president of Ukraine. So I hope you guys can see it here. So this is the president, this is the president of Ukraine, and this is the ambassador, used to be ambassador of Indonesia in America. And I attended that, and it was super amazing. I mean, he's been talking a lot how he believes in his people and his country. And for that, that's also a motivation for me to keep supporting for Ukraine. So yeah, thank you very much, Amy.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. That is so beautiful to see. Thank you so much. Wow. All right. I believe the next hand goes to Banzi Kofi Joseph. If you're ready, please unmute yourself. Going once, going twice. All right, we'll have to come back to him. So Mariami, if you're ready, you got the microphone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yami. First of all, I want to thank you to everyone. First of all, UPG, and also to our Ukrainian sisters. Also, I have seen that we are today 69, and I am so proud, because it means that this problem is not for Ukrainians, and it's not only the war for Ukraine. It's all for all of us, and it's the problem for the world and the peace for the world. So thank you so much for coming and talking about this topic. And I wanted to say that never lose your hope and never give up, because I have seen that people thoughts and ideas are changing. For example, I was living in another country in last year, and their thoughts about Russia was different in the beginning, and they were positive and they liked it. But when this war began, they absolutely changed their ideas and thoughts. And they today express their will to win Ukraine, and they support Ukraine so much. So I never give up and never lose my hope that Ukraine will win, and I am sure it will happen. Also, I am participating in international contests and competitions in law, and 2 days ago we have received one notification that Russia is expelled from these contests. And why? Because they did not refuse that the Russian aggression is aggression and war in Ukraine. So our international society answered to their action and to their answer, and it was our answer and the world's answer to them. So I want to say that also I see that from my country, many Georgians are dying there, and our soldiers, and I am proud of it. I am very sorry, but I want to say that we all are with you, and the win is waiting for you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mariami. I love that. Never lose your hope and never give up. And thank you for the messages you shared. All right, sending you love. So we'll take these hands. We have 3 more hands, then we transition. Okay. So in this order, Abdul Basit, Mapfumo, and then Judith. So Abdul Basit, you go first. You got the mic.
Thank you very much, Yami. You know, I missed you personally, and you know how much people love you. You're one lucky man. So many people love you. And I would like to congratulate you on the wonderful job you and the UPG team is doing for Ukraine. Actually, you give a wonderful example, you know, when there is a fight between the family. So what do? You intervene, and then you try to find a solution. So the world is home to all of us, and we are family members. So is the Russian and Ukrainian people. And no one else can understand this better than me and the Afghan people. I'm basically speaking from Afghanistan. And we have been in this, in this fire since the last 40 years. We have suffered so much because of this. And then, on the first invasion of the Soviet Union in Afghanistan, when it started in 1970s, and then 1 million people were killed from Afghanistan, and then more than 100,000 soldiers of Soviet Union were killed, and then Soviet Union was divided into more than 15 countries. So no one benefited from this, and on the reverse side, most of the people in Russia, in Soviet Union, in Afghanistan, they lost their lives. The economy was destroyed. And then it took a lot of time for most of us to recover from that. I mean, we haven't recovered still, but in maybe in some of the Soviet countries, they have somehow recovered. So what I would suggest is that, every time when there is such thing, there is a very famous saying in Afghanistan that people's power is God's power. So when people wants it, then God wants it, and then people can stop it. And that's my suggestion for the Russian people. you have to do that. You have to stop your government. You have to work for that. You have come to the streets. You have come to in front of your governments, agencies, and administrations, and to do that. So I very sympathize with the Ukrainian people, and I hope that this stops very soon. And not only on this UPG's platform, I'm suggesting this to everyone that let's extend these conversations, this support, and then all these emotions and everything to other platforms, to the people, to the and reach this to the Russian people and ask them to please work with your government to stop this. That is my message. Thank you very much, Yami, for giving this opportunity to share my thoughts, and you all stay blessed. Thank you very much.
Powerful. Let's show Abdul Basit some love, please. I love that. This is why it's so good to have diverse experiences and voices. But there's so much power in what you shared. I really like people power is God's power. I'm going to be quoting you. All right? I'm going to write his name down. I like that. Thank you, and God bless. Mapfumo, you got the mic.
Hi. Good day. I think for me it's good evening. I hope we are all doing well. I just want to, before I get to my point, just a little on what Aisha talked of. There is a saying, I'm not sure if it's African, but we have it here because most of African countries have what I would call bad politics, unstable governments, coup d'etats, and all that. So we have a saying: the youth cannot afford to not get involved in politics. You don't get involved in politics; politics will get involved in you. So you have to try by all means in whatever way you can to play your part, because if you don't do politics, politics will still do you. So yeah, that's something that I just wanted to
love it. Thank you.
To go to before I, and then my point was on information. I really appreciate this session because I get what I would call latest and accurate information. Because in this modern day and age, when you go, let's say, for example, on Twitter, you see one tweet saying this one thing about, let's say, for example, the siege on Avostal, the steel power plant. One post will be telling me this one thing, and another an exact opposite. So I don't know, guys, as much as we can, let's continue attending these sessions and let's spread the information that is accurate. There are many reverberations and effects of the war in Ukraine. But if we fuel that up by false information, we fuel that up by conspiracy theories, we fuel that up, we will not get to any middle ground, or there won't be any chance of peace and negotiations. So as we spread information, let's verify it, let's make sure it's accurate, and let's spread it so that everyone knows what's happening. Thank you very much, Amy.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're absolutely spot on in many of the things you said. But yes, one of the powerful things we do when we come here is we share information, right? We get access to good information. And as Mapfumo has said, we should spread that information. So thank you so much. All right, the last hand in this round is Judith. So Judith, welcome. Good to see you. You got the floor.
Hi, UPG fam. So good to see you all. So good to see you all. I love it. Honestly, it makes my week to see your faces and hear your voices. I just wanted to say here, greetings from the States. And I wanted to say that we in the United States have a very long history of forgetting, to the First Lady's point. Things happen, we get outraged, and then we forget a week later. We're seeing that now. We have such a scourge of mass gun violence in our country right now. And terrible things happen, terrible massacres happen, and then people get outraged for about 15 minutes and then move on as if, the politics just sort of can't take it on or something. So we really do have, I feel that we have this very long history of forgetting things, but so sometimes I get down about that. Sometimes I feel disappointed about my country and down about my country, but then occasionally something happens. And I take care of my elderly mom, and sometimes I walk around in her neighborhood, and her neighborhood is not a place where there is activism. This is not sort of people central in her neighborhood. But I was walking around her neighborhood the other day, and I kept noticing Ukrainian flags.
Oh, wow.
Everywhere I walked, people
Wow.
had put up Ukrainian flags. Like there were
Oh.
children had made paintings of Ukrainian flags, and they put them up on their gates or in their
Oh,
windows.
wow.
And it was just so beautiful to me. And it made me feel hopeful that maybe this time is different, that maybe we won't forget, and we will keep pushing. And that is my hope. That is my expectation of my country. And I will continue to demand, in my one little voice, I will continue to demand that is what my country does. And so that's my hope and expectation. Thank you all. I love you.
Love it. Let's show Judith some love, please. Thank you for sharing this, Judith. That actually is exactly what we need. We have to keep that up. We have to keep up that, what's the word? Whether it's the local activism, the keeping the memory fresh. This is what we need. All right. So thank you so much for sharing that. I want us to transition now to the second agenda item, which is giving the floor to our Ukrainian family. And I don't know if you are ready, Danka, who goes first today?
Yeah, I guess I am. Firstly, thank you everyone for coming. And secondly, let me just firstly introduce shortly who will be with us today. Oksana Telenko, Alexandra Kurbet, and Irina Domina. I guess you know, and me, of course. Yeah, I guess you know these girls, and we prepared for you some materials, some presentation, and this time we will go deeply, like about Russia's Ukrainians relationship, about occupation of Crimea, about some Crimean activists, about deportation, and we also will talk shortly about how technology connected with this war. Yeah, but firstly, we prepared as usual a newsletter, and for now I will share screen.
All right, before you continue, Danka, I just want to remind people, because we have quite a few first-timers here, that we do our best, everybody, we do our best to be upbeat and positive. But please remember, this is actually a war. People are actually dying. So very often, the reality is we have to share sad things. We have to share angry things. And that's fine, because this is really happening. And I know our Ukrainian family, they take a lot of effort to be objective, and they succeed. But I always remind them, and I hope you would join me in reminding them, that it's okay for them, for once in a while, not to be objective. Because I can tell you, if somebody invaded my own home and was killing members of my family, I'm sorry. I will not be objective. Let somebody else be objective. So please, Danka, Oksana, Alexandra, Irina, don't feel any pressure to be nice about the invaders. Share what you want to share. Don't feel any pressure to share only happy stories. Share what you need to share. Okay? And family, please, let's ask questions. It's totally, that's what we're here for. It's very acceptable to ask questions, and they want our questions. So don't feel like, oh my God, is this a stupid question? If it is, we won't tell you, okay? So just ask the question anyway. No, there's no such thing as a stupid question. If the question is on your mind, let's get it resolved. That's why we're here. If you're really not sure, type it in the chat. You'll get an answer, okay? All right. Hand it back to you, Danka.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, Yemi. Yeah, it was important point for questions. I think today we will have so many things which should be discussed, and we can go deeply our after our presentation. So, why it doesn't work? Okay. Let's go to newsletter. It's like very short newsletter, and we combine some important news both from Ukraine and at the global level. And like one of the latest, it's the things that Russia's chancellor to the United Nations in Geneva has resigned, and his name his name is Boris Bondarev, and he said that never have I been so ashamed of my country, like he mean Russia. Yeah, that's why he was resigned. And like for me, short comment from me that it's like when even Russians recognize that at global level that it's like a crime against Ukraine. Another thing, it's news about Kalush Orchestra charity initiative. I guess if you was in previous sessions, you already know that Ukrainian band Kalush Orchestra won the European Eurovision Song Competition. And the thing is that on May 29th, they with Serhiy Pradula Charity Foundation, they like sold the European trophy, which you can see on picture, and that why and as a result they raised $900,000 for Ukraine armored forces. And also the soloist frontman Oleg Psyuk, he also sold his like icon big bucket hat. You also can see it in photo. Another news, it's like quite terrible. It's concerning French journalist Leclerc, Frederic Leclerc. It is he was 32 years old journalist, and he was working in Ukraine, and he covering the evacuation of civilians near the road to Luhansk, at the east of Ukraine, and unfortunately he was killed by shrapnel. Yeah, because of Russians, and you could see these terrible pictures like with blood, and it's like reality which happened not only with Ukrainian soldiers, not only with civilians, but also with journalists, and unfortunately even foreign journalists. Yeah. Another thing is that on June, I guess many of you know that it was the International Day of Defending Children's Rights, and President Zelensky on his speech assumed Russia of forcibly deporting hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians from occupied territory to Russia. He said that for now, like more than 200,000 children had been deported since the beginning of the war. Yeah, unfortunately. And another news which is like so important for Ukraine, like not in like some politics, but in our sport area. Ukrainian's national football team won Scotland with count 3-1, and the thing is that now we are like in final. And yeah, and in this picture you can see how people support Ukraine. Like they go to this football play not only with like Ukrainian's flag, but also with some flyers like "Stop the War," peace, and oh, sorry. And it's hello. I am so sorry. Yeah, and another important news. It's about like global level. Finally, the European Union on May 31 agreed partial embargo of Russian's oil, and it was like after months of delay and discussions. For us Ukrainians, it's so important, like, because it's a kind of loyalty from European Union for us. But however, like some like more Ukrainians and supporters of Ukraine like also criticize the steps, because we say that it's too late and it is like too little. Like for us, we need like more actions from European Union in this area. Yeah, that's all news from me, and now I will pass the floor to Oksana.
Hello.
And yeah.
Thank you very much for coming. It really means a lot. Today, I would like to reflect a bit with you about the events that took place before February 2022. Hope that we will be able to build together a comprehensive picture of Russian-Ukraine relations during the last 8 years, and also possible reasons of Russian full-scale invasion. So our question today is when the war against Ukraine has been started. If you look for this information on the internet, you will find a lot of articles devoted to the beginning of Russian aggression in Ukraine in 2014. Most of these articles suggest that the starting point of the so-called crisis was the Revolution of Dignity in November 2013, February 2014 in Ukraine. So I want to give you a brief overview of the events that took place in those times, so you can arrive to your own conclusion on whether it could be considered as the reason of the war. By the way, that winter I was present in Kyiv and I actively participated in the protests. So I know about those events, not just from the news, but I actually witnessed them. So coming back to those times, it is worth to mention the political situation in Ukraine. Viktor Yanukovych, you can see his pictures in the left side, the former president of Ukraine, or a fugitive president, as we call him now, was elected in 2012. He promised the voters the bright future, economic prosperity, and multi-vector policy, which meant that Ukraine would keep its course on Western integration, but at the same time maintain tight relations with Russia. Sounds too good to be true, and it wasn't. For 2 years, what Ukrainians witnessed was the usurpation of power by his party, enormous corruption, repressions, and censorship. On the two pictures above, you can see the residence of Yanukovych, which was finally opened to public after the revolution. He even had his private zoo in the territory of the residence. Inside, everything was covered with gold, even the toilet. Later, it became a meme. The picture below was taken during one of the numerous protests against the censorship imposed by the government. Furthermore, the multi-vector policy appeared to be a lie as well. Later, the independent investigations proved that Yanukovych was basically the figurehead of Putin and acted in his interest. Next slide, please. On 21st of November, Viktor Yanukovych refused to sign the Agreement of Association with Europe at EU summit in Lithuania. Thousands of Ukrainian students went to the peaceful protest against this decision on the Independence Square, Maidan, in the center of Kyiv. In November 30, it was the turning point during the protest, since it was the day where violent dispersal of protesters happened on the Independence Square by Berkut, which is a special unit of police forces. This was the point when the protest for Euro integration turned into the revolution against the dictatorship. In December 8, the number of protesters on the central streets in Kyiv reached 500,000 to 1 million people, according to different sources. In December 16 was the day of the adoption of dictatorship laws aimed at curbing the protest. The law foresees prison terms of up to 15 years for mass violation of public order. But in comparison to what we see in Russia now, it led to the escalation of the protest. People refused to tolerate the new policy. In December 22nd, the police shot 2 unarmed protesters in the center of the city. The action of police started to get more and more violent, while more and more people joined the protest in many cities of Ukraine. 18, 19, and 20 of February were the bloodiest days. More than 100 unarmed people were shot in the center of Kyiv during the broadcast of events by TV channels. The next day, the ministers of Germany and Poland attempted to resolve the crisis and mediate the agreement between Yanukovych and opposition regarding the early elections in next autumn. But ordinary people didn't agree with this compromise and demanded immediate change of government. On February 22nd, Yanukovych resurfaced in Russia, where he stays now, sometimes being used by Russian propaganda supporting their narratives. During the most tragic days of the revolution of Ukraine, the Russian President Putin dispatched his army to Ukraine's borders for an unexpected military exercise. Does it ring a bell? Please, next slide. Then, on February 27, the gunmen with no signs on their uniforms seized government buildings in Crimea and then took control of 2 Crimean airports the day after. In March, they conducted their so-called referendum at gunpoint and declared that, according to the will of public, Crimea is becoming a part of Russia. In the meantime, Russian officials didn't admit the presence of Russian military forces in Crimea. Ukrainian interim government that confronted deep economic crisis and budget deficit didn't have any resources to protect our territory and asked for help of international community. In response, the Western political leaders expressed their deepest concerns and jointly claimed that they would not recognize the referendum in Crimea. Was it enough to stop Putin? Actually not. Right after the annexation of Crimea, he turns his attention to other regions of Ukraine. On 6th of April 2014, simultaneously in 3 big cities in Ukraine, Donetsk, Luhansk, and Kharkiv, people with Russian symbols forcibly took the administration buildings. The coordination and financial support was organized by Russia, while the Russian government denied their direct involvement in the crisis and claimed that these are local people who protest against illegally established Nazi regime in Kyiv. In order to cope with the increasing crisis, Ukrainian government declared the conduction of anti-terrorist operation to be run by Ukraine security forces. During the first day, Ukraine managed to preserve Kharkiv, but Russia took the next move. And it turned out that ordinary people from Donetsk and Luhansk became well-trained militaries in possession with missile systems, multiple launch rocket systems, Grad and Uragans, and various modifications of cluster munitions. During 8 following years, Russia will keep denying its involvement in the so-called military conflict in the eastern Ukraine, that according to the UN will took more than 13,000 lives, including more than 3,000 lives of civilians. The international community, despite the number of proofs of the presence of Russian military forces in Ukraine, took the position to call it a crisis, not the war. They kept having business with Russia, kept declaring their deepest concerns, kept trying to negotiate with Russia in order to reach a ceasefire, and kept repeating that it is important to not provoke Russia and to find a compromise solution. Again, did it work? As we know, it didn't. In 8 years, Putin moved further. The world got terrified with the tragedies in Bucha, Hostomel, and Irpin, and Mariupol, while for many Ukrainians, this was not something new. During 8 years of the war, we used to see the news about tortured and killed Ukrainians every day. Now I'm giving the floor to my colleague Irina. She's from Crimea, and she will present the short essence of numerous violations of human rights in the occupied Crimea. Thank you.
About Crimea, which is my home. So in 2014, Russia did 3 things. First, it placed its military in Crimea, which was occupation itself. Next, it built up a propagandist picture of Crimeans being very happy with that brave new world that Russia has created by that unlawful referendum. And third, Russia started to build a big military base on the territory of Crimea, the results of which can be seen now because a lot of missiles go from the territory of occupied Crimea onto the mainland Ukraine. And also, Russia started fighting with everyone who was opposing the regime and who were pro-Ukrainian activists. And it's very hard to speak about it when this actually happened to your friends, to friends of your friends, or even touched you in some way or another. So the next slide, please. So what has been happening in Crimea since 2014 and up to now? There is no education for children in Ukrainian or Crimean Tatar language. There are repressions of pro-Ukrainian activists, civil journalists, Crimean Tatar religious groups, including such things as illegal searches, detentions, arrests, tortures, unlawful confinement to the Russian army, abductions, prosecution of the Ukrainian church, illegal conscription to the army, destruction of cultural heritage under mask of so-called reconstruction. So I will start, the next slide, please. I will start by speaking about the situation with education in Crimea. If you look at this picture on the right side of the slide, this is a material by Radio Free Europe, created in 2012, 2 years before occupation. And this photograph shows a very prestigious, at that time, Ukrainian gymnasium in Simferopol. And the article says that a lot of parents are queuing to send their children to study in this prestigious Ukrainian language school. When Russia occupied Crimea in 2014, it declared that all children have to study their mother tongues, but in fact, there is no education in Ukrainian or Crimean Tatar language right now. All the educational process is done in Russian. Crimean officials, though, claim that there is one school in Crimea that provides education in Ukrainian, but according to the Almenda Social Educational Center in Ukraine, who conducts research on education, de facto, that school in Feodosia does not teach children in Ukrainian or Crimean Tatar. It uses Russian only. So where is that right for children to study in their mother tongue? There is none in Crimea right now. The next slide, please. Also, the biggest problem in Crimea is that Russia prosecutes everyone who opposes the regime. So there are repressions, illegal researches, and imprisonment. In the picture, you see a flash mob in Crimea in support of Crimean lawyers who were arrested just because they were supporting and helping political prisoners. So Russia has been also pushing With the regime.
Ira, could you repeat the last sentence, please?
Yeah, sure. So Russia makes pro-Ukrainian activists leave the peninsula. It pushes them out of the peninsula. So if you disagree with the regime, you either have to leave, to pack your things and just flee, or you will be arrested. The next slide, please. Yeah, and speaking about very famous cases of detentions and imprisonment, you probably have heard about Oleg Sentsov. He's a famous Ukrainian filmmaker, and he was actually arrested and falsely accused and put in jail for being pro-Ukrainian and for helping Ukrainian military and activists in 2014. Also, he was undergoing constant torture and humiliation in prison. In 2019, Oleg was brought to Kiev due to the prisoners' exchange, and his friend Alexander Kolchenko, who had also been accused in the same case, was brought to Kiev thanks to the same exchange. The whole world was united at that time in the Free Sentsov campaign. Oleg also went on hunger strike when he was in prison, and the main aim of this hunger strike was that all the Ukrainian prisoners to be free from the Russian jails. Also, a very famous case of Volodymyr Baluch. Volodymyr Baluch was a very ordinary farmer from Razdolnaya in Crimea. What he did was he simply put a Ukrainian flag on the roof of his house, and he also put a plate saying Heavenly 100th Street on his facade wall in 2016. For this, he was prosecuted and accused of ammunition storage and later arrested. Like Oleg Sentsov and other political prisoners, he underwent tortures and humiliation in prison. And also he was brought back to mainland Ukraine in 2019, thanks to that prisoners exchange. And now, like Oleg Sentsov, he is defending Ukraine in the Ukrainian army. The next slide, please. Another case out of many happening in Crimea is connected with the persecution of journalists, civil journalists in particular. The picture you see on the left is of Vladislav Yesipenko. He is a freelance journalist who worked in Crimea, preparing materials and telling the truth about what was going on the occupied peninsula. But in 2021, he was arrested by Russian FSB and falsely accused of storage of explosives. He was tortured with electric current, and he was made to record a video where he was pleading guilty. And now he's still in prison, and the whole world is speaking about this fact. And on the right, this photograph, this collage shows Akhtem brothers, Hasan and Aziz. They are Crimean Tatar activists. They were arrested in 2021 and they underwent tortures by FSB. And in the middle, there is Nariman Jalal. He is a very famous Crimean Tatar activist and a very respected person because he is an intellectual, he is a journalist and an activist. He was also arrested. And like the Akhtem brothers, he was falsely accused of sabotage or storage of explosives. Now they are all political prisoners and are kept in detention center in Simferopol, Crimea. And what is the true reason for their detention? It's that they are pro-Ukrainian and they supported Ukraine in its attempts to deoccupy the peninsula. As I have already said, almost all political prisoners or those who are detained by Russian FSB undergo tortures. And now I'm going to read some quotes by prisoners or by their relatives. So, for instance, a quote by Nariman Ametov, an activist detained by FSB. He, FSB officer, hit me for the third time and my brain just floated. I lost control. I shouted, "Stop it, I'll do the polygraph." He said, "Now I will decide," and continued hitting. I thought I would never get out alive from there. And also I will read a quote by daughter of Oleg Prihodko, another Crimean activist, a pro-Ukrainian activist who is imprisoned in Russia right now. They were in prison somewhere between Rostov-on-Don and Novgorod. My father was tortured with electric current for 3 days. They poured water on his arms and shackled him for no reason. He was made to admit doing what he had not done. And you surely fought in war zones, and they offered to choose in which ones. You know, he said, I'm silently killed here. They will just dig me in here, and my corpse will never be given out. And there is also a quote by Asan Akhtem, whom I have already told you about. He also shared his experience of being tortured by electric current, beaten, and even he was FSB were acting as if they were going to shoot him. And they said, if you try to run away, we will shoot you and we will tell that you were trying to escape. And these are just quite a few cases of what's going on in Crimea. The next slide, please. Several sessions ago, I told you about Irina Danilovich, a civil journalist from Crimea who was kidnapped from her when she was coming home from her work in Crimea. And abductions are quite a case in Crimea as well. According to the Crim SOS human rights organization, during 8 years of Russian occupation, 44 people have been abducted in Crimea, and whereabouts of 15 of them are still unknown. Irina, whose whereabouts were not known for more than 10 days, later was found by her lawyer in a detention center in Simferopol, and she is still in jail. She is accused of, she's falsely accused of storage of explosives, but of course we understand that the true reason for her detention was her journalist work. The person you can see in the photo is Ervin Ibrahimov. He is a Crimean Tatar activist and official representative of Crimean Tatar, a Crimean Tatar branch of power, which worked in Ukraine before 2014. He was kidnapped in 2014 and his whereabouts remain unknown up to this day. The next slide, please. What else is going on is prosecution of Ukrainian church in Crimea. The person you can see in the picture is Metropolitan Clement of Crimean Ukrainian Church. He's a very brave person because all these years he has been fighting with Russian FSB and Russian police for the right of Crimeans to go to Ukrainian church. So what Ukrainian church has experienced so far is detentions and false accusations of Metropolitan Clement. attempts of raider seizure of Ukrainian church building in Simferopol. This building, part of this building, you can see in the photo. And of course, reduction in number of churches serving in the Ukrainian language. Because as you know, with the example of schools in Crimea, Russia thinks that only Russian language must work in Crimea. The next slide, please. With the start of occupation, Russia has been committing illegal conscription to Russian army. According to research conducted by a Crimean human rights group, at least 25,000 men from Crimea were conscripted to the Russian armed forces since 2014. Those who do not express the desire to serve in the Ukrainian army undergo criminal proceedings. And also another thing that is really painful is the involvement of children into the militarization process. In the picture, you see a photo of youth militarization movement called Yunarmia. It propagates the usage of weapons by children. And this movement, unfortunately, flourishes in Crimea, and the children are told that Ukraine is the enemy, and so on. The next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you please go back 2 slides because I haven't mentioned about the cultural heritage. So one more slide back. Thank you very much. Yes, this one. Thank you. So I will also tell you what is going on with cultural heritage in Crimea. The peninsula is a beautiful place, and it preserves not only great nature, but also historical monuments, beautiful buildings, and so on. According to human rights organizations, about 114 cultural monuments in Crimea were damaged, destroyed, or replaced by Russia. The reason for this is that Russia is trying to restore, so to say, the cultural heritage. It spends a lot of money on this restoration, but it is done by inexperienced workers. So the buildings are destroyed or partly destroyed. For instance, the Han Palace, which you see in the upper picture, it is placed in the city of Bakhchisarai, and it is a very famous building in Crimea. And it is the most notorious example of such careless restoration, because in the picture below, you see what was done to the building. So there is a big crack on the wall. And this is just part of the problem, because many other historical heritage buildings are destroyed or partly destroyed. And also, of course, museum artifacts are replaced from Crimean museums and smuggled to Russia. And also, I will tell you very shortly that due to the war that Russia is doing in Ukraine, Russia prosecutes any single act that is against the war. It prosecutes people who oppose the war and who comment in social media against the war, who post photos or write or draw some murals against the war. This is it. So thank you very much for sharing.
May I interrupt just for a minute? Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you clearly.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to answer one important question that I saw on the chat. While Irina told us about Volodymyr Baluch and that he was arrested for putting a plate Heavenly 100th Street on a facade wall, Mamfumo asked, may someone help me understand the meaning behind Heavenly 100th Street? So I would like to clarify this, the meaning of these words. Heavenly 100, it is the name that we gave to those heroes who were killed during the Revolution of Dignity on Maidan Nезалежності. And so this name, Heavenly 100, it is the name of these people, these brave men who were killed. And as I told you before in previous events, that there were people who had only shields made from wood, and that was the only protection from snipers' bullets. And this is the name. So that was truly Ukrainian heroes, and Volodymyr Baluch was arrested for using this name. And many streets in Ukraine, they have this name of Heavenly 100.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, back to you. Danke, where are we going?
I think it's my turn now. Could you please share the slide? I think it's the previous one.
First one, yeah. One moment.
I will mix up the slides.
Not this.
The one about, yes, this one. So coming back to the occupied territories in the eastern Ukraine, by 15th of February 2020, the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights interviewed 39 Ukrainian released detainers in the eastern Ukraine, 37 of whom reported being victims of torture, including asphyxiation, use of electric shocks, sexual violence, penetrating injuries, and other. Here you can see the link. I can also put it in the chat later, so you can read the report. Many of the victims claimed that they had been imprisoned and tortured in the former art center, transformed into the prison and named Izolatia, which is isolation in English. In 2014, amid the unfolding occupation of the Ukrainian region, Russian forces seized Izolatia and established a secret prison. People who were unlucky to end up there, they called this location a torture chamber or even hell. The Ukrainian journalist Stanislav Aseyev, you can see his pictures here, who has been incarcerated in Izolatia prison for 28 months, compared this place to concentration camps where torture, rape, humiliation, and forced labor were a common practice. You can also read his interview in English following the link in the presentation, which I will also put in the chat. So the jail remains active till now. Nothing has changed. Russians keep torture, rape, and kill Ukrainians as they were doing this all these 8 years. And now, when the Western leaders attempt to find another compromise with Russia, putting on stake the territories of Ukraine, we're asking you to ask yourself, will it work this time? And the final thing that I wanted to say is that we have to keep in mind that when we're talking about territories that we have to give or do not have to give Russia to stop the war, we're talking not just about the land, the soil, but about people living there, as those people who live in Donetsk, Luhansk, and Crimea under Russian occupation, where torture, rape, murders, and filtration camps are other common things. So that's all on this topic. And now I think we're gonna move to the next topic, which is the strategies of digitalization in Ukraine and the Ukrainian resilience during the war. Right, Danka?
Yeah, but maybe someone want to say about this it's like a Ukrainian organization and initiatives writing about situation in Crimea, and you can check them. Many like actually many of them like journalists are still in Crimea and they working in occupied territory, and you could like it's really hard to imagine how it's to work in occupied territory to tell like the word like the truth what is happening. Yeah, next slide, I guess. Alexandra, it's yours. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. This topic is for Oksana and me, and a short overview of this topic, why it's important to speak about this on our opinion. It's because first thing that Russians did when they attacked Ukraine, they tried to cut off all kind of connections, including internet connection, TVs, radio station. They cut off everything. They even bombed a TV station in Kiev, hoping to leave Kiev without TV. And that's why it's important to raise this topic. And I want to give the floor to Oksana, and she will tell how Ukraine was preparing, not preparing, but how Ukraine was building digital resilience and processes that were started a few years ago. They helped us to be digital resilient now. And Oksana, please go deeper to this topic.
Yes, so I'm going to give you a brief introduction of the background of the digitalization processes in Ukraine. Starting from 2014, that digitalization of public sector in Ukraine has become one of the state priorities. As you know, 2014 was the year when Russia actually started its invasion of Ukraine, but it also was the year when Ukraine finally signed the agreement of association with the EU after the Revolution of Dignity, and took the responsibility to adopt all necessary measures to achieve conformity with the relevant EU regulation and decisions. Thus, the digital transformation was a necessity, but also that strategic move that would play a significant role when the full-scale invasion of Ukraine was started. On October 1st, 2014, the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, which is the government, set up the State E-Government Agency, a central public administrative body that had a very broad mandate, including coordination of sectoral and regional programs and project development and implementation of digital tools, and so on. In 2019, the State E-Government Agency has been replaced with the Ministry of Digital Transformation, which has even broader mandate that included the function of both policymaking and the implementation of the laws. In 2016, the State Government Agency introduced the Secure Data Exchange System Trembita, which is based on the Estonian X-Road interaction system and should serve as a core infrastructure for the digitalization of the administrative services and also ensure the data exchange. The implementation of Trembita is based on the unique ID numbers assigned by the demographic registry, which allows the connection of data between various state registers and databases. By the end of 2019, 40 state agencies has been connected to the Trembita system, while in 2020, these numbers doubled. The implementation of Trembita, in turn, enabled the launch of the new ambitious project of the Ministry of Digital Transformation, State in Smartphone, which allowed receiving the public services through the mobile application DIA, in action in English. The state in smartphone included the number of projects, including digital education that was launched on January 2020 and included free online courses for teachers, parents, and also the list of online platforms for online education. By the way, this was something that ensured the relative resilience of the state in the field of education during the pandemic, but also now during the war. Also, Dia Business. It was launched on February 2020 as an information platform and online assistance services for businesses, including the templates for launching the businesses, a list of necessary legal documents, and the real cases. Also, one can register as private entrepreneur online through this platform. eMalatko was launched on January 2020 and aimed at digitalization of all public services related to the childbirth, including the registration of the newborn, acquisition of the tax code, and so on. Also through DIA, it is possible to receive in a couple of minutes the extraction of a number of state registers, including the register of single taxpayers, the register of immovable property, and so on. In April 2021, the Parliament of Ukraine adopted the law according to which the electronic passport in DIA applications should have the same legal validity as the paper or plastic document. According to the Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhailo Fedorov, Ukraine was the first country in the world that had fully legalized digital passport in smartphones. All these developments play a significant role now during the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. Thanks to the data exchange system Trembita and DIA application, the Ministry of Digital Transformation managed to launch in very short terms a number of vitally important services, as well as to maintain some of those administrative services already in place. Among the new services, we can highlight the following. The first is the report damage of destruction of your property as a result of military aggression by the Russian Federation via DIA app. So Ukrainian citizens can report damage or destruction of their property just through DIA application, and it takes no more than 5 minutes. This is an important procedure for receiving the compensation for damages after the war is over. Another thing is the easy donation to support Ukrainian military forces, again, via DIA app. So every Ukrainian citizen can donate to one of the biggest Ukrainian foundations, Save Life in UA, in one click through DIA app. Another thing is chatbot e-Vorog, which is another way to help our military forces, available to even for those citizens who are registered in DIA application. So if you see the Russian equipment or invaders, then just send the exact geolocation of their location, as well as photos and videos. And this data is going to be transferred to armed forces of Ukraine. Another thing is the interactive map of checkpoints. During the war, the checkpoints between different regions, cities near the strategic location are the necessity. Using the map, citizens can easily find the nearest to their current location, so to plan their trip. Then the e-map, the interactive map of air alerts. It was launched with the support of the Ministry of Digital Transformation, and it allows everyone to see the situation with the air alarms in every region in a live regime. All these digital initiatives not only contribute to maintaining the relative order in the society during the war, but they literally save lives. And now I'm giving the floor to Alexandra, who will give you a little bit more information about other developments.
Yeah, thank you. And Danka, please just go back to the previous slide just for a few seconds. I want to add something to eMap. At the place where I am now, for 2 days, we have, you know, this rain and thunder and lightnings. And when I hear thunder, first thing that I do, I check eMap. If it's red, then I start to listen more carefully. Maybe it's sound of explosions. But when I see it's not red, oh, then that must be thunder. So it's pretty helpful. And this picture on the slide, it's truly, this is a screenshot from my phone. So it's how this app looks like. So Danka, please go to the next slide. Next step of this topic is about international support in digitalization, and we want to share information about Starlink. If you remember, on previous meeting, I told you about Elon Musk, that he is amazing man, but first of all, what is the Starlink? Starlink is a satellite internet constellation operated by SpaceX. So basically, when you have the Danka, please show this Starlink, this plate. Yeah, when you have this thing, it means that you don't need nothing more to have internet connection, because it comes from satellite, and you don't even need to know to be engineer to make it, because the instruction is 3 pictures, and you just keep these things together and you have the Starlink. It's easy, but it's very important. And when full-scale invasion started, our Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhailo Fedorev, he put this message on Twitter that you see in the middle of the slide. This is a historical Twitter. He wrote to Elon Musk. He wrote, "Elon Musk, while you try to colonize Mars, Russia tried to occupy Ukraine. While your rockets successfully land from space, Russian rockets attack Ukrainian civil people. We ask you to provide Ukraine with Starlink stations and to address sane Russians to stand." He put it on Twitter on 26th of February. And the next day, Elon Musk answered or replied, "Starlink service is now active in Ukraine. More terminals en route." So when I told you that Elon Musk is amazing, that was what I meant. The next day, he reacted. I believe that there was more work done, behind the curtains, but we see the result. And this was true. It was a 3rd day of full-scale invasion, 3rd day, and he reacted and he helped us. And on the next picture, you see our 2 very famous men, Vitaly and Volodymyr Klitschko, who were boxers, and one of them is a mayor of Kiev, and they have made this picture, and there are Starlinks behind them. So here how international community helps us. And I repeat it once and once again, if not international community, if not support of the whole world, we wouldn't survive for so long. We stand because you help us. We are brave. We have much power inside us. It's inside of us, but we need your support to have weapons, to have instruments to fight in this war. And this is very valuable, and we will always remember that. And every kind of support, every action is precious for us. Please, Danka, go to the next slide. Before, how can we help Ukraine? Before I will repeat one more time how we truly can help Ukraine, I just want to add something to previous information that was mentioned during our presentation. First of all, I want to share with you this terrible numbers about children. It's official statistics that it's only official that 261 children were killed during full-scale invasion, and 460 were injured. We don't have exact numbers, but even these statistic is, it's I don't know, it's awful what word to use to describe it, but it's and Irina told us about Crimea, this terrible stories, terrible situations she described, and I just wanted to say words from a song that okay, we have our Ukrainian, and she is Crimean Tatar singer Jamala. She once won Eurovision. I can't remember. It's I believe it was 2016 when she won Eurovision.
Yeah, she's nice.
And there were troubles with the song she presented because organizers thought that it was too political. Her song called 1944, this is the year when where deportation of Crimean Tatars started in Crimea by Russians. And her song begins with the words, when strangers are coming, they come to your house, they kill you all and say, we're not guilty, not guilty. And these words were, well, organizers decided that this was the strongest words in the, among all worlds from whole songs during that Eurovision. And it totally describes not only what happened in 1944, but what happened in 2014 and what is happening now. Please, Danka, go to the next slide. Here, as usually, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine. Of course, we donations is #1 priority for Ukraine because we need it. Okay, war is truly expensive thing, and we need not even money for weapons, but for humanitarian aids, for food to help those who need this help. So many people, they were left without their homes, and they have nothing to they have no money, they have no clothes, they have nothing to eat, and they need help. And that is why we always ask for donations. But we understand that not all of us can afford that, and that is why it's I would say it's maybe even more important in long-term perspective to share relevant information, because Russian propaganda puts millions of dollars into their messages, into the narratives they share all over the world, and it works, and they know how to make how to make this propaganda works. They know how to influence people, and when you share relevant information, at least with one person, this will be a huge impact for our victory in this war. Of course, we ask you to boycott Russia goods, to even to boycott those companies who are still working in Russia because they support Russian terrorism, to join rallies, to email your politicians, to sign petitions, and not be silent. Just please, not be silent. Don't be silent. Danka, please move to the next slide. Here you see about reliable sources of information. Here we collect on this slide the most relevant one here you can find Ukrainian, Ukrainska Pravda, which is translated like Ukrainian truth, and the new voice of Ukraine, the Kyiv Independent, Svidomi, and more sources of information you can find on this slide. We always share this information to give you instrument with which you can fight in this war for democracy and for peace. Thank you, and I hope that you will have some questions, and we will ask them. And please be active. I know that you like to be active, and when you say something, when you see that someone hear you, it makes your voice more important. So please be more important. Ask your questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Please, can we just show them some love for this really powerful presentation? I mean, every week is impressive, but you've really dug deep this week. So thank you so much for bringing all of this. The best thank you is action. So please, let's take action. And we can start right now by asking questions. Some of us who are here all the time may know many of these things, but even if you were here all the time, today we focused on Crimea. We haven't done that before. So many new things that came out. So please use the raise hand option and raise your hand if you have a question, please. Question about anything that was presented or not presented. I see one hand. I'd love to see a few more, please. If you have any kind of question, small or big, raise your hand, please, so we can get the conversation going. But that was very, very powerful. Thank you so much. Okay, Samson, I guess the responsibility falls to you to inspire others to ask questions. So you've got the floor, Samson.
Thank you, Yemi. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are. Please proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
All right. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much to our Ukrainian friends for sharing these stories with us today. My heart, and I'm sure the heart of everyone else here, is with you. And we all await the day when peace once again will prevail in Ukraine. My question is there still hope for diplomacy? Because I'm from Nigeria, and a few weeks ago, I was in a barber shop, and one of the discussions that came up was the ongoing war in Ukraine. And someone said something that really struck me. During this conversation, he said that the casualties of war are never alive to celebrate victory when eventually it comes. And that was really so touching, because it came from a perspective that my mind had never really realized initially. So my question is, currently, people are still dying, especially with what is going on in the Donbas region. As we speak, people are still being displaced, people are still facing insecurity, and new traumas are being inflicted, new traumas each day. So my question is it too late for diplomacy to save the day? And what role do Western nations have to play in facilitating this diplomacy? And what role do both leaders, President Volodymyr Zelensky and Putin, what roles do they have to play at the moment to facilitate diplomacy and ensure that more death is prevented and more destruction is prevented? Because it's just so sad. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Samson. I see people are coming alive. Before we answer these questions, let's take two others. So Mihaki and Judith, you got the floor. Mihaki first, put your question out there. For Samson, we recorded your question. Thank you. Mihaki.
Okay, thank you so much, Yemi. Thank you so much, the Ukrainian team, for the amazing presentation. You do a lot of research, and this is where some of us get the real information. So my question is, one on the children. I saw like 200,000 children were deported. I've heard this so many times, deported children, deported children. Who is deporting these children and where are they being deported to? And I've also suggested in the chats that one day we can have children of Ukraine as a topic. Maybe Duncan and team, we can consider it. My second question is the captives or the prisoners of war are all being imprisoned in Ukraine? Are they being deported to Russia? Who is fighting for them? Because I see some were released, coming to Kyiv and taking up activism, but there are so many still imprisoned. So who's working for these people? Who's fighting for their rights exactly? Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. And we take one more question. Judith, you got the mic.
Thank you, Ukraine family. That was amazing as ever. I was just curious, as I was listening to you talk about Elon Musk and Starlink, I was wondering in general about infrastructure, because of course things are being targeted, not just historical buildings, but infrastructure, I'm sure, is being targeted. And so I just wondered, how I'm always amazed when I see pictures of buildings that still have electricity and all of that. And so I was just wondering about, water infrastructure, electrical infrastructure, all these things that, are necessary, not just to, make sure that Ukraine is connected to the world via internet, but just for life itself. So I was curious about that. Thanks.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Judith. So let's respond to this round of questions. And so whether it's Danka or Alexandra or Oksana, feel free to unmute yourself and respond to whichever question you want to respond to. Okay? And I'll just keep track to make sure we've responded to them all. Then we'll do another round of questions. So who wants to go first?
I can respond to the first question about the negotiation.
Yes, thank you.
Basically, if we put our emotions aside, we know that in any negotiation, what is decisive is your position, whether this is a position of strength or not. Currently, Russia behaves as a bully because Russia can do this, because Russia is bigger, because they have more people, because they have more power, and so on. Currently, the negotiation with Russia will, in my opinion, will never end up with the solution which is going to be acceptable for Ukrainian people. First one, we are not talking even about our government, but our people. What can be done is to make Ukrainian to have this position of strength. Basically, we need the support of international organizations. We need the support of European leaders. We need the stronger actions which will equalize a bit our position in this negotiation. As our president said, this is going to be the moment when the real negotiation starts. Because what we see now, it's not negotiation. It's just the demands of Russia, and that's it. Thank you.
I can continue answering this question. But it would be, firstly, I want to say that it's like my own point of view. If you were in the first session, we told you about Budapest Memorandum. It was in few years after Ukraine got the independent. It was in 1994, and the thing is that independent Ukraine signed this memorandum, and Russia guaranteed them визнання незалежності, security and
of our independence.
Yes, Russia guaranteed that Russia never never pretend in Ukrainian borders. And the thing is that European countries, in this case, said that if something bad happened, they will protect Ukraine. And as we can see in the case of 2014, when Russia occupied some Ukrainians' territory in Donbas region and also annexion of the Crimea. This Budapest memorandum doesn't like.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't work. Like European country like didn't do nothing. Like it's firstly, it's my point of view. Like, and in this case, like when we speak about some diplomatic issue, we should like see like real steps what European countries could do for us, like a guarantor of our independence and our sovereignty. It isn't only agreement like between Russia and Ukraine. It's like global. It's in global level. So that's why we need others country, like especially from Europe, especially those who have like common border with Ukraine, to involve in these negotiations and real steps from them. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, Alexandra, please go on.
Yeah, just a shortly to the first question, and then I'll try to answer all the others.
Thank you.
Danka said that European countries, what European countries could do for us. I just would make one small remark. It's not just for them. It's not just for us, what they could do for us, what they could do for them. Because today we protecting the whole world, not only the Europe, the whole world from this terroristic organization called Russia Federation. Okay, one moment of emotions and then I will be more concise.
That was actually fact. You want to call it emotion,
yes.
but that's actually fact. But fair enough. For those who don't know, it might look like emotion, but what she just said is fact. But thank you so much, Alexandra. Please continue.
Thank you, Yemi. I was afraid if you would cut me off because of I will say something wrong.
No.
Okay. And Oksana told that Russia is much bigger country than Ukraine. And just if somebody doesn't know, Russia is 140 million inhabitants. And Ukraine is about 40 million inhabitants. So they are simply, there are many of Russians. They're, well, many. There are too many Russians. Sorry again. And going to the other questions, Muhaki asked about children where they deported. Well, according to the information that we have from the open resources, Ukrainians, they are deported not only to the regions that are close to Ukraine, but even to Vladivostok regions. Well, if you know the map of Russia, or you can Google it, how far is it? So if here Ukraine and here Russia, so Vladivostok is here. It's few thousand kilometers from home. Few thousand. It's too far away, and they want to. I read the news this week that Putin was to simplify this procedure of adoption kids. For Russian could adopt Ukrainian children, forbid them to speak Ukrainian, and this is one of the steps to erase Ukrainian nation. They want to leave Ukraine without their children. But they are deported all over the Russia, and they can be far away from home, and we can't. I can't imagine how we will bring them back. Truly. The next question of Muhaki was about imprisoned people. Were they in Russia or they in Ukraine? When I told you about this intercepted calls from that interceptions, we found out that they imprisoned. They are not only in Ukraine. They are in Russia too. So they took, I believe it's somewhere in Rostov-on-Don. If I'm not mistaken, it's have to be checked, this information, but they are in Ukraine and in Russia. They put our soldiers to the so-called country. And the question from Judith was about infrastructure, if I'm
Yes.
if I'm right. Infrastructure is much damaged, and well, in Ukraine we don't have the exact numbers of victims from our side, and if we see some statistics about soldiers who were about Russian soldiers who were killed, we know these numbers, but we don't know official statistics about Ukrainian soldiers, and I believe it's right that it's well, it's okay that, but every family know if a soldier was killed, and family of the soldier they know that they were killed, but we don't have the whole picture, and it's, well, it's okay. But we also have these casualties in the sphere of infrastructure. Many workers whose job to fix these communications. I mean, not only the TV or these lines of electricity, but internet, electricity, water, all the communication. There are casualties. There are, but we don't know numbers. But I've heard that there are many of them. And when was the hottest, if I can say that, this first month in Kyiv Oblast and near these places, many villages and many towns, they were without electricity, and we just received these messages that sorry, we can't you can't fix it because the place where the damage is, it's under fire, and our workers, they just can't get through to this place to fix it, and there were huge troubles with that. And today there are troubles with infrastructure on the east and on the south of Ukraine, because, well, there is the same situation just. And about infrastructure and how the damages of it, and how Starlink helped us. I've put a link on presentation, but I forgot about it. We have 1 minute video, and I just ask Danka to share it if we have this one and something minute video. Danka, please share it with us.
Okay, but you will tell me in which slide, okay?
With the Starlink, the one with Starlink, and the link is green.
Yeah, Yemi, could you give me opportunity, Yemi or someone?
You should be able to share.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see what's blocking.
Oh, okay. I see. It should be okay. Okay, one moment. Just
Hello?
let me.
Oui, bon.
Okay, this one, yes. I think it would be better if I just copy paste and.
Yeah, whatever.
No, no English, no English, French. Ça va?
Have destroyed internet cables and cut off Ukrainians from access to information and each other. However, internet connection became faster and more reliable. Ukraine has received more than 10,000 Starlink stations, thanks to partners. Due to war in Ukraine, SpaceX has updated its software to use less energy. Starlink is now powered by a car cigarette lighter. Starlink is supporting our key infrastructures, health facilities, financial institutions, energy plants. It has restored mobile connections in deoccupied Ukrainian towns and villages. Internet connection and mobile service are already available in Bordanka, Irpin, and Bucha. With just one Starlink station, the service was instantly re-established in 5 villages. Every day in Ukraine, about 150,000 people are actively using Starlink. Additionally, Ukrainian engineers are working hard during martial law every day. They risk their lives to restore connections, repair cables, and tower functions. Even in wartime, Ukraine stays always online.
Thank you. That's very helpful. So Alexandra, were you done? Was there something else you
Yeah.
wanted to add in addition? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, thank you.
All right, just thank you. That pretty comprehensive answer to the very good questions we got. So thank you so much.
Could
So
like short comment about last question about
Please.
infrastructure, really short. It's real hard to tell about infrastructure in occupied territory because we don't have like connection. Ukraine doesn't have connection with occupied territory, and for now, like about 20% of Ukraine, guys, 20% of Ukraine are occupied by Russia, and we these people who live in the cities, occupied cities, villagers, they didn't have like any news from Ukraine. They didn't have Ukrainian news. They used to listen Russians news, and they like really afraid to talk by phone with their relatives in Ukrainian territory because they afraid that if they said something bad could happen with them.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Danka. All right, family, we have to be bringing this to a close shortly. Okay, we've been together now for almost 2 good hours, but I would be happy to take maybe a couple final questions. All right, because we did have an epic presentation today. So I see one hand. Our lady, you've got the microphone. And Lamsey. All right. Our lady, you got the microphone. If you want to ask a question, taking care of it.
Thank you, Yemi. Thank you for the Ukrainian sisters for the amazing presentation. As always, I'm feeling inspired, and prayer always goes to the Ukraine. My question will be regarding how exactly the youth mobilization happening in your country in addressing this event. Like I've seen, and I actually follow some of the Ukrainian social media activators on Instagram, where they educate people like me coming from different country about what's happening using all these good visuals. But in terms of mobilizing the youth, like for example, you guys, like Danka, Alexandra, Oksana, the reason why you're able to do this because we have UPG, right? But what about the other youth? Like what sort of platform that they're using and how exactly they're doing that? So that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take Lamsey's question at the same time. And so it's the final round. Lamsey, you've got the microphone. Please unmute.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so very much. I cannot put my camera on because I'm not feeling too well today, but I can still give my contribution. I want to throw light on the area of propaganda. And during the presentation, I heard that Russians are using the platform to to propagate some negative issues like wrong words against Ukrainians. And it was said that there are people who really buy their ideas about what they are saying, who are in support of these negative actions. I want to know what are some of these words they are using that is making other people out there to believe and support them. Yeah, I just want to know some of this content they are using, because for me, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, I think there should not be people out there who should even think of supporting Russians. Yeah, so thank you so very much.
Wow. All right, two powerful questions. I think, Lamzi, you might be opening Pandora's box here. I suspect that Ukrainian family might do an entire presentation to answer your question. but
Thank
okay,
you.
we haven't got time right now for an entire presentation, so let's take their responses to these two questions now. All ladies' question and Lamzi's question. Alexandra, please proceed.
Oh, am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I love your questions, guys. You're amazing. Your questions, they show us that, wow, you're in this with us. Thank you for that. Wow, you're amazing. It's everything that I can say. But goes to Layla's question. I believe that, well, as you know, I am too emotional, and maybe somebody else can ask more, concise and strict. But what I can say about the youth and well, Layla, you said that we do this because we have this platform, we have UPG. Yes, and I will always remember Danka's. Danka is the one who started it, guys. I remember this text message when she typed on our chat from UPGSL candidates candidates UPG Sustainability Leaders 2021, and she said, guys, we have UPG, we have to do something. We have to do something. And there were a few of us who said, yes, we have to. And we have 5 people who are the hardcore of our team. And from my side, I can tell that if not UPG, I would do that. I would do it in my own country, in my own language, because well, I truly appreciate that UPG gives us this opportunity. I couldn't even imagine that one day I will speak in front of the audience and the people will be from all over the world. Well, it was some kind of, I wouldn't believe it if someone would tell me that. And here we are. But if not this, I would spread this information in my own country, because we have just the same problems with the Russian propaganda, and here it's even more stronger. And I believe that the presentations, the materials, information that we give to you, we share with you, it would be totally relevant for the biggest part of Ukrainians, because not all of us know history, not all of us use Ukrainian language. I love Ukrainian language. I will never stop. I don't know what you have to do for me to stop speak Ukrainian. And many years ago, I decided not to use Russian language. It was my own decision, and I don't use Russian language. And I don't know what were my reasons then. It was like 15 years ago, but here we are. And I would do it, but in Ukraine or in the same or in some other platform. And girls, maybe you will share, maybe you know some initiatives, but I believe that today, if somebody has at least one connection from abroad, at least one friend, he would kick him and please please support Ukraine, please donate to Ukraine, please tell everybody about Ukraine. Because we are highly motivated in this question, and we are interested in it in 100% because it's our lives. I realized that 5 of us, Danka, Oksana, Valeria, and Irina, and every Ukrainian who is here, we are the smart part of Ukrainians. We are one of the smartest part, and we are the first who would be victims, because that's how Russians works. They try to erase those who can teach others. This is the method. That's all from my side. I was emotional as usual, but Oksana tells me that this is my I am the secret weapon.
Yes, you are. Thank you so much. You are our secret weapon. So thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for the beautiful questions that were asked. I want us to bring this to a close, okay? And so I want to invite any closing words, specifically from our Ukrainian family, any kind of closing words that you want to share as we bring this to a close. Thank you, everybody, for your attention, for your presence, for the questions. Zaliha is trying to bribe me by showing her video. I will not be bribed. I will not be swayed. Although I'd love to see your video, though. All right, we're moving to closing thoughts. Ogumbumi, why are you making life more difficult? We had the entire 2 hours, and now you raise your hand? All right, please, we have to bring this. And she's showing me video as well. This is so unfair. Look at this. This is manipulation. I have witnesses. All right, please. We have to bring this to a close because we do have to get back, of course, to families and loved ones, and we have to respect everybody's time. So Danka, Alexandra, Oksana, Irina, and then Valeria is here. If you want to say anything as we bring this to a close, then we wrap up. Zali and Ogubumi, please bear with me. Please bring your comments and your questions next week. Or, as Ugochi's posted in the Zoom chat, there's a link. Take it there so we can stay alive. All right, who wants to go first? Danka, Alexandra? Oksana, show me your hand. Who wants to go first? Just any closing thoughts as we round up today. Let me see, who's it? Danka. All right, go Danka.
I can do. I hope I will do it shortly. Alexandra mentioned about this sentence which I like drop in our chat, and I remember this moment. It was like when I was in bomb shelter at the first day of Russians invasion, and I was just all time spending in my phone, checking like news, chatting with my relatives, and I wrote this message in our Ukrainian UVG chat. Yeah, it's like I remember this moment like for long. Yeah, and concerning I like short comment why my personal point of view why I'm doing this like spreading information among you because we need not only fight with Russia propaganda, but we hope that this knowledge which you will get about Ukraine, about what is going in Ukraine, you will use and make actions, actually real action to help Ukraine. Even it's small actions, I know many of you like for now do it, but even if it's small actions, it's really like valuable for us, like for whole Ukrainians. Yeah, and if you do this action, you impact another person, and then this person do action again, and then this person like impact another person. So it's like a chain. And thank you all, thank you for coming, and thank you for your action.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oksana.
I will be very brief. I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone for coming here, because what you are doing here, what we are doing here together, it's vitally important. We hope that we motivate you, but what you do for us, it is essential. You gives us power, you multiply our power. For example, I work with Ukrainian refugee children here in Italy, and after our sessions, I come to them and I say to them that these people are with us. These people are with you. The world is with you. And I move this power to them. So thank you very much for what you're doing for us.
I love it. Thank you. All right. You know, we're all waiting for Alexandra. By the way, I promise you all a new song today. Okay? You may have noticed I have a United for Ukraine playlist. I do everything with music. But there is a new song I'm going to play before we close, before we play the national anthem. All right. So, Alexandra, are you ready? Please go ahead.
Yemi, please give the word to Irina, and then I will give my final thoughts, because we forgot about her last time, and I can't forget. I will
Of
be...
course. Irina, where are you hiding, Irina? Please. Where are you?
Irina, please raise your hand or do something.
Here you go. Please, Irina, anything you want to share?
Yeah, I will be very brief. So thank you very much for being united for Ukraine, and I'm sending a virtual hug to all of you. Thank you.
Oh, I think she was more emotional than you, Alexandra. All right, Irina, thank you so much. We can feel the hug. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That is true. I love hugs, and I would hug you all when I see you. When, not if, but when. And I believe that I will see you when we win.
Yes.
Yes, when, not if. And one thing, when Oksana told that she tells Ukrainian refugees, to the Ukrainian refugee children, that that people support us, and I don't remember if I shared it with you when I told you about our victory on Eurovision Song Contest, but my mother, I remember that my mother was shocked when our guys they won this song contest with Ukrainian song. It's in Ukrainian. In none of the it's not Ukrainian, this pure language that you see in books. This is dialect or how, yeah, dialect language. So even my mother doesn't understand half of the words in this song. It's so unique. It's so like, you know, this I can find these words, but it's so tasty words in this song, and they won. And it was Ukraine's victory. It was they Kalush Orchestra victory, and it was Ukraine's victory. And my mother was so surprised. She couldn't believe that. She said, "No, we won't win. Wow, no, never." And when it was late in the night, and she said, "But how is it possible?" And I, as a scientist, you know, I have serious reasons. I always can find these serious reasons, and I can explain something. And I said, "Okay, Mom, listen. Firstly, there are many refugees, Ukrainian refugees, abroad. If you remember this number, about 4 million people." 4 million refugees in the world, Ukrainian, because of this full-scale invasion. And Mom, listen, secondly, the world support us. And the reason for me to say these words were our events, our meetings, because I see how you people support us. When I see the chat and I see the, the list of countries, well, it's unbelievable. And the biggest impression, I was totally impressed when on the first event, the first one on 16 March of March 16, in the chat there was Allah with Ukraine, Allah with Ukraine, and I was like, what? Allah? You know, Arabic world support us. I was so surprised. And you know, I have arguments to say that the world support us, you support us, and you make us stronger. It's you people, every action, it matters. Every action matters. So please, if one day someone will tell you that sometimes you have to be silenced, or your voice doesn't mean anything, simple people, they don't decide nothing, they, well, don't believe it. Just don't believe it, because this is wrong narrative, and this narrative is highly it spread in Russian, and Russians love to say that they don't decide nothing. There is a Tsar. I don't know how to translate Tsar. It may be, you know, the king.
Yeah, like a king.
Yeah, like the king, and the king, he decides, and we are simple people, and we will listen to him. No, guys, this doesn't work anymore. Today, you decide everything. Today, democracy is a value, and democratic world, it will win, it will stand, because we have you. You are our backups. Guys, if not you, we wouldn't survive. So please be active, share all information that you hear today or previous events. Share this information, share with world. We work so hard. Every one of us has works, and we prepare. We have this. We have to find this time to prepare this information. Please share it with the world. If you can donate, please share the information. Give the pressure. Put the pressure on your politicians. Because you are the one who changes this world. You can make it better. Only you. I believe in you and I trust you. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you so much, Alexandra. Can we show her some love, please? Thank you so much. And all of you heroes, thank you for being here today in such a really powerful way. I've promised you a new song, and I keep my promises, so I will play you that new song. But by way of my closing thoughts, I want to build on the things that have been shared. And I want to start where Alexandra left off. We believe in a world where people matter. When I say we, I really mean we. You're here because you believe that. If you didn't believe that, Letitia, Aisha, Samson, if you didn't believe that, you wouldn't be here. If you didn't believe that, Judith, you wouldn't be here. Napfumo, if you didn't believe that, you would not be here. We believe in a world where people matter. Now, these are very dark times for those who believe in that. Not everybody believes in that. Alexandra talked about kings. There are many people who hark back to that era. It may not be a king, but it is an authoritarian figure, whether it's an individual or an institution, that everybody must listen to. Now, which world do you want to live in? Jean-Marc. Which world do you want to live in? Anybody who tells you, oh, we're giving too much time to Ukraine, they don't get it. No other conflict right now on this planet has a bigger sway on determining the world we're going to live in tomorrow. Zero. Anybody wants to argue, please bring them in next time. Okay? But this is why this matters. My daughter knows about this conflict. Lamzi, I'm very happy to see you educating the next generation. Excellent stuff. This matters. Now, this is not romantic because these are actually dark times. People who believe in what we believe in, they are dying every single day. Our brothers and sisters are dying in a conflict that's about our collective future. It's not about Ukraine. Again, if you're not sure about this, come back again and we can speak more. And Russia is determined and doesn't want to give up. But we also have no choice, and we cannot give up either. Or does anybody here want to give up on a world where people matter? Anybody? I don't. And I know you don't either. But since Russia is determined, it's going to be a long war. Russia is ready. They've built up their weapons. They've built up their stocks. They've built up their reserves. Hey, they started it. You don't start unless you're ready. Russia also believes that we are not ready. Guys, these are not empty words I'm sharing with you. Russia firmly believes that the world is, you heard from the presentation that in 2014, when Russia took Crimea, Ukraine wasn't ready. Ukraine couldn't defend Crimea. They were sad to see it go, but they weren't ready. And so the Russians laughed. They said our calculation was correct. They've done another calculation. And that calculation is that the world is not ready. That calculation is that the world will not be united. Russia believes that any unity we have now will not last long. And so we are in dark times. Now, when you're a warrior for a better world, whether you're a UPG champion or UPG sustainability leader, or you just believe and you take actions to stand for what you believe in, when you're a warrior for a better world, then in dark times, you have to be the light. Even when everyone else is tired, you have to be the light. Even when everyone else is hungry, you have to be the light. Even when everyone else is affected psychologically or traumatized, you have to be the light. Even when everyone else is pessimistic, you have to be the light. Are you ready? Because this is a long war. All of your heroes, whether it's Mandela or Gandhi or Martin Luther King, this is the kind of war they fought for. And now they've passed the baton to you, Mwihaki, and you, Samson, you, Lamzi, you, Danka, you, Oledi, they've passed that baton to you. Everything they fought for, if we lose, everything they fought for dies. Are you ready to be the light? The only way we're going to survive the long haul, because the Russians are ready, the only way we're going to survive the long haul is to spread that light. Okay? If you decide, I'm going to be the light alone, remember, we don't fight alone. So you must spread that light. The same way Mihaki got other people learning about what's going on in Ukraine. Bring in some of them here. We must replicate this. Bring your friends. Bring your neighbors. This way, you are spreading light, and that reflection will recharge you. That reflection will recharge all of us. And while the Russians believe that by spreading darkness, they will overcome light, we will show them that their calculations are wrong. And they will be shocked. Because in neighborhoods where they didn't expect it, like in the neighborhood that Judith talked about, they will see that light reflect and shine. They will say, we expected these people to forget. We expected them to become hungry because we've stopped all the Ukrainian exports. And you know, when people are hungry, they forget all these other things. And we have to make the light shine back to say we are hungry, but we are still united for Ukraine because our values matter much more than anything else. And I hope you know that you are all on the front line. all of us, all of you, we're all on the front line. Please don't assume that there's any higher power anywhere that's got this under control. There isn't. As Alexandra said, there is no king. The people in authority, they have to listen to us. So if they feel, oh, my people are all too hungry, then they will buckle. We have to let them know that we are not too hungry. We have to let them know that we are united for Ukraine. We have to let them know that anything less than Ukraine's full sovereignty of its full territory, anything less than that is unacceptable. Not just the Ukrainians should say that. We should all say that. Whether you live in Switzerland, France, Germany, the USA, Indonesia, Kenya, we should all be saying this. When our leaders hear this echo, they will understand that nothing less is acceptable. But if they hear the echo of, oh my God, the fuel price is too high, they will buckle. Oh my God, vegetable oil is too expensive now. They will buckle. If they hear we are too hungry, they will buckle. So we have to be ready. I pay higher fuel bills with joy. At my supermarkets, they're now rationing vegetable oil. And I'm happy. Why? Because my fellow citizens can see that there is a consequence for what's happening. It doesn't make me angry. The Russians think, oh, when we see higher prices, we'll be angry. No, I pay it with joy. A lot of joy. I'm standing up. We are on the front line. We have to be that light. And I ask you, if you've stayed this long, it is because you are that light. Spread the light. Next time, each of us bring somebody here. They don't have to be part of the UPG community. Our United for Ukraine events are open. If you want to help people, do what they tell you to do. And our Ukrainian family has been saying, spread the word, bring more people here. Post on social media, donate. There was a question that was asked, a very powerful question about diplomacy. His Excellency, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, he himself spoke out about 2 weeks ago to say diplomacy is the only thing that would definitely end this conflict. Nothing else. And so diplomacy has a role to play. It is the only solution. There is no military solution to this conflict. But for diplomacy to work, fighting has to stop. And I've said, and I will say it again, we need to find the courage to enforce the peace. You do not see your family members fighting and you stand on the side. Those of you who heard me say this in the very beginning, it is shameful. We are all going to be painted with that black brush of shame in the history books, me included, because we are a generation that was afraid to step in. I'm sad to make this comparison, but I hope you will understand. You all heard about the mass shooting in Robb Elementary School in Texas in the USA. There's something about that that everybody has come to agree. And that's the fact that the police officers were there for almost an hour and they did not intervene. Everybody agrees, including the police, that that was shameful. They haven't come out to explain, but we all know why, right? He had powerful guns, lots of ammunition. They were scared, right? They didn't have the courage to intervene. Do you see where I'm going? It doesn't matter how many nuclear weapons Putin has. We have to find the courage to enforce the peace. And then we let diplomacy work. We have to close the airspace. No more bombing. We can't have innocent people dying. The only solution to this conflict is diplomacy. And right now, we haven't found the courage to enforce the peace. It is shameful. But the things we are doing are second best. They're better than the other options. So the sanctions, arming Ukraine, these are all important. But at some point, we have to find the courage. So please, let us pray that light spreads. Let us pray for courage. Let us pray for peace. Okay? Thank you so much. Remember that you are the light, we are the light. There's nobody else. And we have to spread the word that we are united for Ukraine. We are not hungry. We are not tired. We are not, we're not giving up. We are united for Ukraine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to the next session. Before then, I do want to play a song, which I promised you is coming to my United for Ukraine playlist. And like Alexandra kind of said, it's not from the Eurovision, but it is 100% in Ukrainian. But it's a bit catchy. Are you ready? It's about rising up, even though you are in sorrow. Okay? And I'm going to press play now. And I promise you, it's going to be hard to get it out of your head. Good luck. Here we go.
Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша Україна зажурилася, а ми червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну
All right, I put the link. Even children like it. All right, thank you so much. I put the link to the song in the Zoom chat. Listen to it. We'll keep listening to it. Learn the lyrics. We might sing it together. All right, thank you all so much. I'm bringing this session to a close. In our traditional way, we're going to play the Ukrainian national anthem, and I invite you to please stand with me, with us, as we bring this to a formal close. Thank you.
Ні слава, ні воля, ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануєм ми, браття, у своїй сторонці, душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького
All right, I love you very, very much. Thank you so much. We can all say our goodbyes. Thank you for another powerful week together. Thank you so much. Stay safe.
Thank you, Yemi.
Thank you.
Bye, goodbye.
As always, Slava Ukraini.
So much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much,
Everyone,
everyone.
see you next time.
Stay safe.
Ukrainian
Bye
friends,
bye.
love you so much and we stand by
Thank you,
you.
Rich. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you all.
Namzi. Bye, Nassim. Jean-Marc. Au revoir. Merci. Bye, Edith.
Please Google the translation of this song. It's amazing.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. It is
Thanks
powerful.
We
for
have
one.
time for
Thank you
practice
very much.
to
Bye,
sing next
everyone.
time together.
Excellent, Danka. We can practice singing.
Everyone. Bye, Tonka.
Bye everyone. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Agnes.
нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо. Нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо.
Goodbye. Love you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Love you.